Hey there, CPO here, and today I just wanted to take a few minutes to basically, go back to the basics with regard to just flight training in general. It's a perfect day for it. I don't have anything to build. I'm still waiting on parts to repair the helicopter from my crash, and quite frankly, I needed to get some more sim time in anyway, so. Definitely the ability to get some sim time in when I'm not building has been helpful, just to revisit this this basic understanding of flight dynamics as it pertains to the helicopter. I feel pretty comfortable hovering, and actually I feel much more comfortable in the simulator than I do in real life, because I'll take more risks, and those risks generally, the downside of crashing in a sim is I get to take off again. So there is no downside. So I'm taking more risks, which what I found out in real life when I fly the 450 for the first time, is that I'm less willing to make any sudden movements on the helicopter, which actually became a detriment to me when I crashed, because I should have been able to come out of that particular orientation very easily. I just ended up freezing because I wasn't quite sure exactly which direction, and I didn't want to risk doing something that I wasn't absolutely positive what the outcome was going to be. So, at any rate, so I'm back in the simulator, crashing for free now, and I just thought I'd show you a little bit about what I've been working on. So, this is in the Phoenix Flight Simulator, and as you can see here, I have on my desktop, basically have two windows open. The Phoenix simulator on the left side, where I'm doing some practicing and getting out of control right there. And I have helicopterfun.com up on the right side, and I believe I'm working on day 4, which is their hovering training that he talks about in there. So it's helpful for me to follow along with a video because it keeps me more focused. Probably the hardest thing I found about flying in general, but particularly flying in a simulator, is it's very hard to just slow down and practice and do the same thing over and over and over again. I want to go play around. I want to flip it inverted and fly around inverted till I crash and then do it all over again. Or, I want to, fly out into the horizon until I can't hardly see the thing anymore and see if I can figure out how to get it back to me. But that doesn't really solve the problems I need with regard to the practice I need to do. So one of the things I'm doing is I've got this helicopter set up as an intermediate helicopter, but I added on the landing gear. Instead of going down to the slider to the basic setup, it changes the helicopter. I just go back to intermediate and then go into the menu options to adjust and then enable the landing gear. So I get the landing gear without the more modified controls of the helicopter. For a flight field, I like the fields with the big parking lots. Car park is one I kind of like a little bit, but I like big, flat, concrete areas. And in this particular case, this Cambaugh field is what I'm using. And it's a nice big parking lot to use for training. And then, of course, you can also set out the layout. The F3C box was very helpful. You saw me doing that with the video. But I also like this landing target. It brings the helicopter a little bit closer to you. And I find it's nice for hovering exercises where I can just kind of play around without being so far away from the helicopter. The problem with flying in a simulator for me is that it's such a small helicopter on the screen, and it's two-dimensional, so it's kind of hard to get depth of field. But I did want to practice as realistically as possible with the 450 size heli, and I'm not doing anything to mess with setup. So you see my launch angle here is with it facing sideways. You can go in and adjust that angle and basically have it pointed any direction you want. You're controlling the direction that the nose is facing with this little arrow here. So that's nose in. and then flip it over its nose out or tail in, left, right, whatever you want to do. And then you can also change the physical location of where it is on the pad. So that's kind of helpful if you weren't aware of how to adjust that setting. So I generally just prefer to put it in nose in when I practice, because that's how I'm taking off right now in real life, and I think most people tend to do that. So that's the setting I tend to leave it in. Sometimes I'll try sideways because it takes me a little bit of concentration to get it in the right orientation whenever I take off. I've been doing a little bit of practicing here and there, working on my hovering and just maintaining control over the helicopter. This is exactly what I did in my flight that caused my crash. And oddly enough, the helicopter did the exact same thing. It had that little bit of a rightwards move. Here it is again. I'll do the same thing. I'll just turn it slowly around and look at it. It moves right, and that's exactly what it did when I crashed it. But the difference is here, for some reason, I'm able to get it back where I want it to be. I don't know why I froze when I was actually flying, but so the physics are pretty dead on, actually, if you ask me, because the helicopter did exactly for me what it did in real life. So this is really what I should have done, is just maintain complete control over that slow pirouette. I can fly nose in fairly easy. Actually, nose in isn't a problem for me. The problem for me is the sideways, or the orientations in between. So somewhere between left and nose in and left and tail in, or right and nose in and right and tail in, that's where I get mixed up in my brain. I can think nose in pretty easily. To me, nose in is simply push the stick in the direction that it's going to counter that force. And that's how I think about that. So if I'm rolling backwards, I just push the stick forwards, which is actually nose down, but I don't think of it that way. I just think of the stick goes in the direction that the helicopter's moving in order to stop that movement. But this is the hard part for me, is this whole, getting it side in, that's where I'm really going to focus my time. So anyway, I appreciate you watching, and catch you on the next one. And by the way, boom, it's nice to be able to crash for free. Have a great one, guys.